Ladies and gentlemen, this is huge. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. What have I been telling you? The Supreme Court routinely, 94% of the time, according to one estimate, 94% of the time, sides with President Trump. It's 93.7% of the time. The Brennan Center published a very amusing article. The Supreme Court has to explain why it's always siding with Trump. Well, another way to look at it is Democrats and media have to explain why they're always on the wrong side of history. Why are they always on the wrong side of the Constitution? Why is the Supreme Court consistently backing Trump over federal courts? Why are federal courts routinely on the wrong side of history? Supreme Court allows new Texas congressional maps, giving new life to GOP redistricting effort. With the Texas map upheld, the gerrymandering war may end in a stalemate before. Okay, so it's not really going to end in a stalemate because you'll hear from Governor Abbott if Prop 50 goes through completely in California. Abbott could actually remove all the Democratic seats and end with 5 more or 10 plus GOP seats in Texas, 10 more GOP seats than they already have with the redistricting. Then you have the Supreme Court upcoming ruling on Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act. That's 19 more seats. Trump is doing very well. The GOP is actually doing a lot better than one would think for the midterms. Hit subscribe to this channel. Go to H.A. Goodman's other channel that's below in the pinned comment. And check this out. Be here for the live stream tonight, by the way.
Texas a massive win, allowing the Lone Star State to use its newly drawn congressional map for next year's midterm elections. This knocks out a previous ruling from a district court which blocked the new map's implementation over claims of racial gerrymandering. The high court ruled 6-3, finding the lower court did not apply the presumption of good faith when considering disputed evidence and did not require challengers to come up with an alternative map. Governor Greg Abbott saying in part, "We won. Texas is officially and legally more red. The new congressional districts better align our representation in Washington, D.C. with the values of our state. This is a victory for Texas voters, for common sense, and for the U.S. Constitution." Democrats are beside themselves on the news. DNC Chair Ken Martin said this, quote, "Once again, the Supreme Court gave Trump exactly what he wanted."
Yes, just like federal courts and lower courts gave Democrats exactly what they wanted. If you want to play that game, if Democrats want to say, well, the court is 6-3 conservative, okay, and the federal judges, the judges in New York that consistently ruled against Trump, is that because they were Democrats, lifelong liberals? So justice in America, there's truth to the fact that judges, if they're conservative or liberal, will rule according to their ideological leanings. That's true. The issue, however, is that if you condemn Trump for claiming that judges are biased against him because they're liberal, then how on earth could you then, without even understanding the hypocrisy, then state the Supreme Court is giving exactly what Trump wants? So whenever it works for Democrats, it's about the rule of law, and it's apolitical, and it's about the Republic and the Constitution. When it doesn't work for Democrats, it's partisan.
A rigged map to help Republicans avoid accountability in the midterms for their turning their backs on the American people, but it will backfire. All right, let's get into it with our panel. Tiana, what do you think this says for Texas, and what does it mean for other states that are pushing for these new redistricting maps?
Pretty clearly, Sam Alito said that you're allowed to do a political gerrymander. Everyone agrees this was a political gerrymander. The question was, is it racial? And the answer was so obviously no. So California will likely get their way. The majority conceded this. But look, Texas is a 40% Hispanic state. This gave Hispanics one new majority district, where now they still only have 20% of majority Hispanic districts. Prior to this map, there were no majority black districts in Texas. This gives black voters a majority in 2 new congressional districts. So all in all, it's really hard to say that this was to ice out voters of color. What they're banking on is the fact that President Trump got 55% support with Texas Hispanics. Now, will this pattern hold nationally? It remains to be seen. Look, Indiana Republicans seem to be balking at the idea of taking up a new map. And as we saw with the Newsom playbook, Democrats are pretty good at squeezing the juice. Yeah. The best thing Republicans can hope for is that there is no more juice to be squeezed because Democratic states are so gerrymandered already. Just look at Illinois.
You're right. And that's what they have been doing for decades, Cheryl.
Exactly. And, glad you brought up the issue of how many states we're looking at right now, because that list, we can pull up that map again if you want. Florida, Indiana, Texas, Virginia, California, Missouri, North Carolina, Utah, Ohio, Maryland, New York. All of this is on the map in 2026. Why is this issue so important right now, though, especially for the Republican Party? Because there are approximately 50 GOP House members that are in districts right now that the president won by 14 points or less last year. And we saw a shift in that Tennessee district on Tuesday, that the 7th congressional district in Tennessee that was won by Van Epps by only 9 points. That was something that a district that Trump won by more than 20 last year. So baking all of this together between redistricting, all the conversations we're having, Maria, on this program about the economy and the state of the consumer, all of that factors in along with where we go with the Supreme Court. Now, where SCOTUS going to finally land on this, we don't know. Kagan's dissent was pretty specific when it came to racial issues, as Tiana mentioned in her commentary. But at the same time, the court could come down before this goes into the books on Texas. The calendar is not anybody's friend.
The Supreme Court is also going to look at, well, obviously, the Voting Rights Act is a huge, huge case. Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act, they're going to find is unconstitutional in 2025 because you have, in large part, because you had President Trump almost winning the Latino vote. We've already reached a point in American politics where you can't assume that one ethnicity or demographic group is going to automatically vote Democrat or Republican. So, or at least Democrats can no longer assume that they can just demand loyalty from any specific ethnic group. So Trump almost won the Latino vote. Okay, he was like 4 or 5 points away from winning the entire Hispanic and Latino vote. But check this out. If Prop 50 passes in California, this is what Texas can do, which is what you just heard right now in the analysis. Well, if Prop 50 passes, would it be a stalemate? No. Check this out.
So first of all, one reason why this even exists is because of the gross gerrymandering that's already been done by California, Illinois, New York, Massachusetts, and so many Democrat states. What Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, is threatening, and that is if Texas goes through with redistricting that eliminates 5 Democrat seats and aligns our congressional delegation with the values of the state of Texas, he says that he will work toward eliminating 5 Republican seats in California. And I'm saying that if he tries to do that, we have the capability, using the same strategy that they're using in California, to eliminate in Texas not just 5 seats of Democrats, but in fact 10 seats of Democrats. Yeah. And so here's what we know to oversimplify this.
So if Prop 50 eventually does become law and Newsom adds or removes 5 Republican seats in California, Abbott can do a lot more, remove 10 seats. And Republicans would gain even more seats.
And that is before Texas is working to redraw the congressional lines in the state of Texas. California, Illinois, and New York, they've gone to extremism with regard to drawing lines that eliminate Republicans from the congressional delegations in their states, and they have run out of bullets and will not be able to make any further changes in the future. But Texas and other Republican states will be able to make our states have larger Republican delegations in Congress.
Well, they wrote the.
So you have numerous states where Trump won 30 to 40% with hardly any Republican representation in Congress. That is absurd. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. Democrats will probably win the midterms, but the Trump Republicans have a very, very good chance. Hit subscribe.